Hello students, welcome back to our science class. My name is Anjali and today we are going to continue our chapter 12. So I hope you all are fine and safe at your places. So students, I am going to show you one image in front of you. What I have taken a book and few pencils, okay? And you have to observe that what is happening and what I'm doing it with my hands. Yes students, so what have you observed that what I'm doing with the books and the pencil? Yes, I'm making the book to be rolling over those pencils, right? Yes, very good students. So, what do you think that rolling the book on over the pencils, will it be having some kind of friction attached to it? Yes, as we were continuing to be discussing about the friction, so here also students, the friction will be involved, right? And how this book is moving? Yes, this book is moving with the help of the pencils by rolling over the pencils, right? Very good. So rolling over pencils. And students, the rolling over the pencils of this book, this is possible due to the, yes, this is possible due to the, which is the friction attached towards it, right? Very good. Some kind of friction might be over there attached, which is making it to be rolled over this pencils. So students, very good. You all have given me good points. So today we are going to basically discuss about the types of the friction, our topic of discussion, which is this only, types of friction. Okay. So the first which we are discussing about is it is the, yes, the rolling friction. Very good students, about the rolling friction. So basically when you, what if you have to define rolling friction in your own words, the first type of friction. So how will you define the rolling friction? Yes, you will define that when one object is rolling over the another object, as in the case of book you have seen, it is rolling over what? Those pencils, right? You can see. So the friction attached to this is what the rolling friction is. Very good students, good observations you have given. So when one body rolls over the another surface of another body, the resistance to its motion is called the rolling friction, right? Yes. What is happening? Because the resistance is occurring to the motion of this when one body is rolling over the another surface of another body, right? So that kind of friction attached, we term those that friction as the, yes, very good, the rolling friction. Very good students. So now eventually what we can say that rolling actually reduces the friction, because it is always easier to roll than to slide a body over another. Yes, do you believe it is easier? Yes, and how it is easier? You can mention your points in the comment section. I can also side by side over here write that rolling reduces friction. How students? If you have to give an example and then explain, you can then also that how rolling reduces friction. Yes, very good. So if we have any kind of thing which is rolling over the another things, and one is which is sliding, which is just sliding one over the another, right? You can say on the earth, the surface ground, one thing is sliding and one thing is rolling on one surface. So in which case will it be easier? Means the friction will be less. In the first or in the second? Very good students. Definitely in the first the friction will be less because of the rolls, the rolling wheels, right? Very good. So it is always easier to roll than to slide one body over the another. Good students. So now let's move ahead. So that is the reason it is convenient to pull luggage fitted with rollers. Don't you think that why the luggage which is having the rollers actually in on the bottom, it is very convenient for us to move it from one place to another? Yes, very good. So and why it is more convenient? Yes, it is more convenient because as just now we have seen that rolling will make our task easier. Why? Because it will reduce the friction. Okay. Yes, very good. So if I take an example of another type of luggage, okay, one luggage is having wheels, and you can say I'm having one bag, okay, like this. I'm having a bag with me and one more bag in which wheels are attached, and I have to move this point from point A to point B. So what do you think? In the first case or in the second case, it will be easier for me to move it? Yes, very good. Thus in the second case, because we are having the wheels, so wheels will reduce the friction. Friction means the force which opposes the motion of an object, right? So that will reduce the friction. But in this case, it will not be. So in the second case, we can say it is easier. It is convenient to pull luggage fitted with the rollers. I hope it is clear to you and you can note down these points also. Yes, are we done? Okay, very good students. So now if I ask you to list few more examples of rolling friction, then what examples will you give? Yes, very good. You must be saying that almost all the vehicles they has the wheels under them, right, on which they are moving. So there also rolling friction is involved because the wheel is making the we can say the motion it is easier by reducing the friction, right? So the rolling, there is also rolling involved. And what else, students? Yes, so let me jot down your points. And what about, students, if I ask you, some of you might be saying that in the railway stations when we see coolies, there what they usually carry to this hold the luggage. Yes, a kind of trolley like this, right? And in which they have wheels, so they are just pushing it from over here, putting so many bags under it, right? So there also it becomes very easier for them to move the luggage from one point to another. Very good. And one you have already told me that in the wheels we have in the vehicles. Very good. That is also example of rolling friction. Or students, yes, here also you can see in the bicycle, like how the bicycle the rolling friction is involved because we are it is moving on the rolls. Roll are the wheels over here, right? Very good, good example. And but about you can say see the second example, student. Yes, the person what he's trying to do, he's actually moving the ball in the on the table. So he is rolling it, right? Yes, he is rolling it. So rolling will reduce the friction and the ball will easily move without any hindrance, right? So in that case, we have seen how the rolling friction is involved there. Now it's your turn to answer it this fill up, that when one body rolls over the surface of another body, the resistance to its motion is called dash. Yes, students. Resistance to the motion of one body when it rolls over the surface of another. So resistance, you can say it is related with friction. And what is that rolling? Yes, related to rolling friction. So here what answer will come? Rolling friction. Very good. It will be rolling friction. Very good, students. So now I'm going to show you another video and animated. You have to observe it that what is happening in that video also. Okay. Yes, it's just getting started. So you have to observe actually that what is happening. Yes. So now you can see over here. Yes, students. So what are you observing? Very good. Something related to slide. Yes, the person is sliding down, right? Yes. So students, now what will you term this friction which is related to the sliding? One, we have discussed about the rolling. Second, it will be, yes, sliding friction. Very good, students. The friction associated with the sliding, that we will term as the sliding friction. So if you have to define sliding friction in your own words now, so how can you define? Yes. So if you are saying that when one body slides over the another body, so the resistance to its motion, that is termed to as the sliding friction, right? Because friction is something related to the resistance, the oppose of the motion, right? And the sliding means when one body slide over the other body, so the resistance which it is causing, it is the friction, and specifically terming we are as it sliding friction. Okay, very good, students. So sliding friction is the friction exerted when an object slides over the surface with a working fluid in between the two bodies. We have seen, right? Very good. So now the rubbing of the both the hands together to create heat. Do you think that when we rub our hands for a short period of time, so it creates some kind of heat also? Yes. So we can say that sliding friction creates some kind of heat. And example, we can say that few examples which we have, like the a child sliding down a slide in the park, or a coaster, or like you can see how the kids they are enjoying. Yes. So here the friction which is involved, which is opposing the motion when the one object is sliding over the another, in this case also, in first case also. So here the that friction is terming as the sliding friction. One is, we can take the example of coaster, right, or the kind of swing which we have of sliding, and one is like the ice skating. So students, in this case A or B is in which case the sliding friction is involved? Yes, sliding friction is involved in the first case. As you can see, what is the person doing? Yes, the person is actually sliding over the ice, right, with the help of ice sticks. So in the A case, which is the relating with the sliding friction, when the case of A. So students, what do you think? Will it be easier in case of A or in case of B to move? Yes, it will be more easier in case of A rather than B, because in B we can say that only friction is involved there, but the person is not able to slide down properly. But in the A case, where sliding friction is involved, so this is the, we can say that sliding friction is helping out for the person to move out very easily than the person B. Somewhat it is happening because it is resistance to motion also, but when sliding is having, and in case of B there is no sliding, so that is why we are specifically terming that friction as the sliding friction. Very good, students. So now let's proceed ahead. Now what you have to do is, it's your turn to answer, students. That choose the correct option. You can read the statements, what they are saying. So first is saying that the sliding friction is less than the rolling friction, or rolling friction is less than the sliding friction, or rolling and sliding, they are equal. What do you think? Yes, you can write your answers in the comment section, students. What do you think, that rolling friction will be less or the sliding friction will be less? Very good, students. So if you are giving answer as B, that rolling friction is less than the sliding friction, because in the rolling it becomes much more easier, you can see, to roll down, right? Very good. So the answer is B. So now, students, what do you observe? Yes, you guys must be saying that we have a ship and we have a boat. Very good, students. So what do you think, that some kind of friction is involved here also, in the boat, the ship, when they are traveling in the water? Yes, you must be wondering that maybe some kind of friction is must be present. So students, what do you think, if the friction will be present over here, it will be somewhat relating to the water or not? Yes, you might say that yes, somewhat related to the water it will be there. Yes, very good, students. So friction related to the water, it could be there, because something will definitely be, friction is present all around us, right? So here also some resistance to the motion of the ship and boat, both will be there, okay? And that resistance will be friction, you can see, due to the water. Water may provide that. And students, when we are on the ground, so the friction is provided by the, yes, the surface, or you can say the ground, right? Yes, very good, students. So as you are already mentioning that it is friction something related with the liquid, so students, specifically we term it as the fluid friction, okay? What are we term giving the name as? Very good, it is fluid friction. So students, now if you have to define few fluid friction in your own words, then you can write your answers in the comment section. How will you define the same? Yes, very good. So let us discuss now about the fluid friction. So you might be guessing out the, that what is the fluid friction could be, that the friction involved due to the water, or friction occurring in the water. And fluid friction is the friction which could be having resistance to motion of the objects in the water, right? Yes, very good, students. Good trial. So basically, students, fluids exert force of friction on the objects in the motion through them, and the frictional force which is exerted by the fluids, it is specifically termed as the drag. What we are calling it as? Drag. D-R-A-G. This is the force of friction. What is drag actually? The force, the frictional force which is exerted by the fluids. Okay, students? Because we have seen that fluid must be exerting some kind of friction to the objects which is there in under the water, in the water also. So that we are terming that frictional force as the, what we are calling it as? Yes, students, we are calling it as drag. So this is the frictional force. And frictional force specifically exerted by what? Yes, liquids. That is only we are terming as drag, otherwise we cannot. Okay. Yes, very good. So now students, that we have seen that how the frictional force exerted by the objects in the motion through them. So fluid exerted. The frictional force on an object in a fluid, it depends on its speed with respect to the fluid. Definitely it will depend on its speed, right? And the also depends on the shape of the object, the nature of the fluid, what kind it is. So these all are the factors on which the fluid friction is depending. These factors we will be elaborating more on it in a separate class, where how it is depending on the speed, shape and size of the object, the nature of the fluid. Okay, yes, very good. So if I ask you students that what do you think, that are these objects related with fluid friction given special shapes or not? Some objects which you have seen, one let me show you. What do you think, there are some special shapes you can see the objects are given with, which are related with the fluid, like this, something is there, a boat is there like this. What do you think? Are these any kind of special shapes to it? Yes, some of you might be getting an idea that you can see the pointed tip is there, right? This kind of tip is there. Let me highlight it for you. What speciality you can see over here, that these are the, yes, over here you can say that they are the, like this, some kind of shape you can see, right? And similarly in the second boat also. Yes, so you might be wondering, yes, definitely some special shapes are given to the objects which are associated with these fluid friction, and these are like the pointed ends, right? So students, we will learn more about this in our next classes, that what the name of this shape is. And let me give you a hint if you have to search more about it. So basically we are calling these shapes as the streamlined shapes. What? Streamlined shapes. The fluid friction, which are objects related with them, they are having the streamlined shapes. Okay, let me show you some more. Yes, so do you observe that all these are the water living, right? These are the fishes, the dolphins, the submarine. Yes, are these having the streamlined shape or not? Yes, streamlined, basically this pointed type of shape like this. Yes, you might be seeing that. Yes, these are also having, all these are having the streamlined kind of shape. Okay, and why they are having so, and all about, all this about we'll be discussing in our next classes. So till then you can just see that how the friction, the friction involved in the fluid friction, those objects, they are having a special streamlined shape. Okay, students, so now let's move ahead. So it's your, for you, it's time to fill in this blank, that the frictional force exerted by fluids is also called dash. Yes, students, what it is called? You can take your time and write down the answers. Yes, I hope you all are writing. So what will be the answer to this question? To this fill in the blank? Yes, it will be fluid friction. Very good. So now students, what have we discussed in our today's class? Yes, basically today we have discussed about the types of friction, right? So we started with the rolling friction, then we discussed the sliding friction, and then we discussed the fluid friction. So students, if I ask you to define the rolling friction with suitable examples, then how will you define? Yes. So rolling friction is when one body rolls over the another body, then the resistance to its motion, that is termed as the rolling friction. And what are the suitable examples? Yes, the wheels attached to the luggages. Yes, this can be the one of the example of rolling friction. And students, rolling friction is dash the sliding friction. What will be the answer? Very good. That rolling friction is less than the sliding friction. And on the true or false statement, the first statement is saying what? That fluid friction can be minimized by giving the suitable shapes to the bodies moving in fluids. Yes, very good students. It is true. And what is the name of that suitable shape? Yes, so in the fill up we discussed that it will be less. And in the true false we are saying first statement is true. So what is the name specifically? Yes, it is a streamlined shape. So in this way we can reduce the friction, and more we will be discussing that how friction is reduced by giving the shapes, streamlined shapes to those objects, right? Okay. And water and other liquids, they exert force of friction when objects move through them. Is it true or false? Yes, very good. This is also true. Definitely it is true. Correct. So as you have seen these images, like how we can have explained, we have learned few things with the help of this, right? Now students, homework time. So what you have to do, you have to explain that why the rolling friction is less than the sliding friction, okay? And explain why objects moving in the fluids, they must have special shapes, okay? And third is you have to collect some more pictures of the objects which are having the streamlined shapes and paste it in your notebooks then, okay? Yes. One activity which you have to perform is that you have to take any empty matchbox, take out its tray, right? As shown over here. Then cut a used refill of a ball pen of the same width as the tray. Okay. Fix the refill with two pins on the top of the tray, and you have to make the holes on the opposite sides. Okay. Not, they must be that large enough that the only threads can pass through them. Okay. You have to take a meter, about a meter long thread and pass it through those holes. What you have to do? You have to see that suspend the matchbox with the threads and leave the threads loose. Okay. Now see that matchbox will start falling down due to the gravity, and tight. You have to then tighten the thread. Okay. Observe then what happened after you tight the thread, and then explain your observations. What and how can you relate it with the any type of friction which we have discussed in our today's class. Okay. So I hope you will be doing this interesting activity at your homes. Yes, very good students. So this activity also you have to perform. That's all students for today's class. So thank you.